I really enjoyed number one. It got us through all the look at last year where the teams finished in the standings, how they did against the spread, the totals. Jay and I went through all of it. It took over an hour and change, and gave some visual examples showing you guys all those numbers. So if you missed that episode, go back and check it out. Jay, how's it going? You ready for some football?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm glad we're starting early talking some football, man, and I'm ready for today's conversation.
We're into Jay's nap time, just so everybody knows. This is when he normally goes to sleep after the morning show. He was up all night. It's kind of Al McMorty's schedule, you know. It's, tries to poke some sleep, so that's why this is his wake up hour, and then he's on to his prime time. But we're just going to go through the first round of the NFL draft very quickly here. Look at each of the players that the teams took, see how that player fits, and if they're a boom or bust. There is no I don't knows or maybes. It's just yes or no. We've got Felix Anudike. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, but
Uzama,
Uzoma
yeah,
from drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs out of Kansas State. We know Kansas State was real good last year. They had the deuce. Jay, what do you think of this guy?
I'm gonna go boom on him. I think when the Chiefs first round pick, some pass rush. I don't think they miss. I think he'll be pretty good for them.
I think so too. I think being paired with some of the veterans that they have there, not a ton of pressure on him. And, there's some big names, big money guys, but I think he's the type of guy that they can groom. Everyone knows I say this all the time. Teams that win, they got to pay up. So they always need people waiting in the wings. Next up, pick number 30 was Nolan Smith, taken by the Eagles, linebacker out of Georgia. Jay, this guy's a home run. He is the real deal. Those Georgia linebackers are so freaking fast.
Yep, boom for the Eagles. I just have concerns of playing time with how deep that D line already is for Philadelphia. But if they rotate the guys kind of like they did last year, he's going to have a monster year.
One thing about Smith is he was injured. So if you watch the national championship game or the playoff games, he was the guy on the crutches with the glasses who was out there for the coin tosses, one of the captains. The thing is, when you get a guy that's this small that plays linebacker at that level, one thing you know about these guys, they can absolutely fly. So when they grab that interception, it's like they're like corners that get interception. There's touchdown almost every single time. I think he's gonna have a field day in Philly. Next up, Brian Bresee, defensive tackle out of Clemson. We know Clemson always stacked on the defensive line.
Yeah, and I feel like he went to a good spot in New Orleans, kind of somewhere else that, has a good front up there with Cam Jordan and the crew. I think he's going to fit in nicely. I hope I think he's going to be a nice fit for New Orleans as well.
Yeah, for me, it's like I think that, guys like this, the only thing that I ever fear about taking an interior defensive lineman is if they stay healthy, it's about as good as you can get, because this guy is the type of guy, he takes up a lot of defenders. He makes everybody better, and that's what defensive tackles do. They're not the guys that are sacking the quarterback. There's only one Aaron Donald, that creates that pressure up the front like that. But if you can collapse the pocket, also take up a lot of blockers and defend the run, then you're a great defensive tackle, and that's what this guy is. Next up, Miles Murphy out of Clemson, defensive end. Boom for me on the Bengals.
Yeah, and they need it, in their division, going after Lamar, going after Pickett, going after I forget who the last one is off the top of my head, but I think that's another boom. I hate to sound like a straight boom for everybody in the first round, but I think there was some value at the end of this draft for sure in the first round.
Got Anton Harrison going to the Jags. They got this pick from Buffalo. He's an offensive tackle. He was the 7th ranked offensive tackle. A lot of times you see runs on positions, and oh man, we have a lot of booms so far, even though we're going from the bottom up. But I think there are going to be some busts. I'm not 100% sold on this guy. I know the Oklahoma offense was good, but they played out of Lincoln Riley's spread for the bulk of the time up until last season. So I don't know. I'm a little less process there.
I understand the pick for the Jags trying to beef up the line for Trevor Lawrence. But like you said, I'm not sold on this guy a ton. Hopefully he's a boom. But right now, if I have to call it, I'm going to go bust.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a bust. I just think that he's going to take a little bit. He's going to be a little bit more of a project. So we'll see if he's a bust. I don't know if he plays left tackle. Maybe he's one of those guys that moves to right tackle. I'm not really sure. Next up, Cowboys. Mozzie Smith out of Michigan, defensive tackle. Oh man, Michigan had one of the top defenders on the defensive line taken the year before. He was a home run for the Lions. Here we go again. This guy interior.
Yeah, I was shocked to see my Cowboys go D tackle first round. That's something we almost never do. So I think that goes to show just how high they are on this kid, and I think he's going to help beef up the interior, like you were talking about on the other guy. And that's kind of what we need: a guy to eat up blocks, fill up space, and I think he's going to be a boom doing that for the Cowboys.
There was a guy that was similar to this that played at Miami. His name was Vince Wilfork. And what the type of guy that he was is that he played for the Patriots. He's probably a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's in yet, but he will be a Hall of Famer. But what these guys do is they take up 2 to 3 blockers on the interior defensive line. When you have a guy like Parsons in the secondary there, and in the linebacking unit, it's one less guy you have to block him. If you don't block this guy, your quarterback's a dead man. If you do block this guy, then your quarterback's a dead man because Parsons is going to get him. This is a problem for other teams. This is a real problem. He's not the type of guy that one guy's going to be able to block, and that's how Wolfork was. This is a big problem for them. Next up, the Bills went with Dalton Kincaid. These guys had a tight end. They had Dalton Knox. Boy, it's just they must really like this guy. What do you think?
He was a nice option for Utah, and I think he's a good player. His comp is Zach Ertz, and if he's anything like that, then I think that Josh Allen could use him in that offense. And we'll see. Is he a boom? I'm not sure. Would I go bust? I would say no. I think he's going to fall somewhere in the middle and be serviceable, good.
I think he's going to be one of those guys as well that he can create a lot of problems for teams, and he gets open in space and catches the ball, and that's what he did. He excels against zone defenses. So he's when you have guys covering Diggs and Gabe Davis and even Knox, now you've got another guy to cover, and this guy. Yeah, he could be the sleeper. This guy could be the sleeper of the sleeper guys.
Could be.
All right, we got Deonte Banks from Maryland. We saw Maryland get roasted by some of the big schools, especially on the road last year. But here he is, at corner in your NFC East, where defense is king.
Yeah, we usually see a corner or two be a bust in the first round, and if I had to pick, I'm gonna say it's gonna be him. That's not gonna pan out to be what they quite think. I think there were other corners on the board, and I think the Giants kind of selected him because they needed it more so than his talent. So I'm gonna go more bust on Deonte Banks.
So here's the thing with Deonte Banks. This is what's going to make or break this guy. The pass rush is going to be everything for him. He's small, there's the receivers like Jamar Chase or Higgins. They're going to just tower over this guy. Justin Jefferson, just tower over him. But he's faster than all of them. The thing is, it's kind of like how Darrell Green was. If you get the pass rush on them, and you get into these jump balls, these overthrows where the guy's got to run it down and stuff like this guy's going to run it down. He runs a 4.3. So he definitely has the speed. I think while we're just going boom or bust, this guy would kind of be a wild card for me. I'd lean a little bit that there's going to be the learning curve. I'm going to say more to the bust, but, certainly has the potential longer term. So I think that's where I'm at with him. Jordan Addison, USC to the Vikings. The other side of Jordan Jefferson, never a bad place to be if you're a wide receiver. You're not going to see the coverage. Obviously, Adam Thielen was released by the Vikings, and they needed to replace him. This was the guy. The Colts caught lightning in a bottle with their USC receiver a year ago. So a few years ago, watching that USC receiving core, I was like, this is like an NFL receiving core these guys have. And this guy comes out of Lincoln Riley's offense. And
I'm going boom with Jordan Addison. I think we know Kirk Cousins. The question is not the numbers. We know he's going to fill up the stat sheet. We know he's going to get his touchdowns and his yards. And I think with, like you said, on the opposite side of Justin Jefferson being the weak side, he's going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups, and Kirk will put that in there for him. And I think he's going to have a solid rookie campaign. So just more so due to what's already on that offense. So I think Jordan Addison is going to be a solid piece for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to go boom.
I like boom as well. I think for me, the question is going to be, he's going to have to hold on to the ball. It's like once he proves that he holds on to the ball, then that's it, man. The top will be off it because he's going to get that single coverage. He can fly. He can catch it. He can do all those things. And he's going to get those man coverage opportunities. He's going to. They're not going to if they don't, well, they're going to pay. The other teams we saw that trying to cover Jefferson, one-on-one, all that stuff. It was ugliness. Zay Flowers, Boston College wide receiver. There was a wide receiver run in the first round, and Zay Flowers was part of that. He was a little to the shorter side, and the Ravens have kind of been, in and out of these wide receivers. They had no problem trading Hollywood Brown to the Cardinals. These guys just know what they're doing. I don't know a lot about Zay Flowers. He didn't have the best quarterbacks there, but I'll tell you one thing: the Ravens just don't miss. So I'm going to say boom because basically these guys always boom. They never miss.
I'm going to lean bust on Zay. I'm with you. I didn't watch a lot of Boston College last year, so I didn't see a whole lot of in-game for Zay Flowers. But the thing is, I don't know how much Baltimore is going to come out with the air raid. I think they're going to come out, on their typical Lamar Jackson run the football style football. And if they do throw the football more, it's going to be toward the guy they just got in free agency, the high profile receiver in Odell Beckham. And I just see Baltimore more as a running the football type team. Will Zay Flowers progress into being something good? Possibly. Year one, will he step in and be, oh my goodness, look at this guy? I don't think so. I think there were plenty of other better receivers in this draft.
All right, man. I just think that
we'll see. I could be wrong.
The Ravens just always seem to know what they're doing, man. When you have Odell Beckham Jr. and Aguilar already there, and you go receiver first round, you must have really liked this guy. Quentin Johnson to the Chargers. This is a home run. Yep. Yes, future All Pro, if not
boom, mega boom.
Yep. Rookie of the Year list. Somewhere on there is like.
I'm with you.
This is the guy.
I think so too. He really went to probably one of the best spots for him, with Keenan Allen there, Mike Williams. I think I've seen that Quentin Johnson already beat out their third guy who had a really good year last year. He already beat him out. He's going to be the third guy, so he's going to be starting. And I think we're going to see Justin Herbert fall absolutely in love with this guy. Max Duggan fell in love with this guy, and we've seen their connection lead them to a national championship appearance. And I think fantasy-wise, for you fantasy folk, be on the lookout for Quentin Johnson. I think he's going to have a monster year. I think this could be one of the best picks of the first round.
Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State went to the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks, no quarterback really. Geno Smith, they had a good year last year, but now he's got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. This guy, man. It's like, how would you like to be the number three in that, in that group and coming out of, Ohio State where they are growing wide receivers on trees. And this was the guy, right?
Yep.
This was their guy this year. So, oh man, I just have to say, looking at Garrett Wilson last year, Olave, looking at Michael Thomas. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You got to figure this guy's going to be good. Got to be.
Yep. So on Jackson, I seen Jackson play in high school. He's from right where I am. He was great then, good in college, and in this trio, I think he's going to be a high impact guy. I just see him fitting right in. I don't expect the Seahawks to be as good as they were last year. I don't know. I'm not sold on Geno Smith, but we'll see. Jackson, though, I think will fit in nicely with this offense, and I think he has a good year.
Got Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This guy's a little to the small side for my taste for the interior defensive line, 6'1", 281. Normally, we see these interior defensive linemen are in the 320 range these days, 315, 320. So I don't know if this guy has the frame to put on the size at 6'1", but he must be super fast in order to be drafted that high. Fastest 40-yard dash at defensive tackle at the NFL Combine since 2006. So that's pretty much it. He comes out of Pitt. They've had some good defensive tackles throughout the year. Some guy named Aaron Donald went there.
Yep, I can see him being good for Tampa, especially. I think Tampa had a lot of other holes that they could have addressed, and they decided to go here. So he probably was their highest graded player on their draft board at the time. And I think it says a lot about defensive tackle selected early in drafts, man. They usually pan out to be that guy. So I think Tampa got a good one here with Kansas.
Jack Campbell from Iowa, drafted by the Lions. This guy's 10 years. Set it and forget it. This guy's a tackling machine. No problem with this pick for me. I like it. And I think he's the type of guy, like we see guys like this, every once in a while. They just come in and you just plug them in and they're just there. Just leave them and they're there. He doesn't really, he's not like a Parsons type linebacker with the big speed and everything like that. He just tackles everything in sight, and you got to have guys like
I'm looking here. They say his comp is like Leighton Vander-Esch, who is, he always has his nose on the football. So we know how good that Iowa defense was this past season. He was kind of looked at as one of the guys on that defense, if not the guy. And I think for good reason. And the Lions, we saw their defense kind of get better last year with Aiden Hutchinson. I can see, taking another step forward here with Jack Campbell.
Yeah, the Lions have it going on, man. I'll tell you that much. Patriots, Christian Gonzalez, a cornerback out of Oregon. I mean, this is a team that desperately needed wide receivers and a running back and a bunch of other stuff. They go corner. They go to Oregon, where they've had a ton of success in the past. I don't love the pick, but I think when Bill Belichick sees a corner that he likes, my guess is that he's pretty good, especially since he got a new offensive coordinator and everything like that, and he still went corner, at 17 overall.
Gonzalez has all the measurables. He looks like he's, when you think of a corner, this is what you would want to build is this guy Gonzalez. And going to New England, he's gonna be playing behind a lot of good corners that have gone through. So I think New England, we know Bill Belichick for defense, and I think he knew exactly what he was drafting at 17. Kind of another team that had holes everywhere else, but they kind of took a guy that they think could plug and play early. So I think he's going to be pretty good.
Manuel Forbes from Mississippi State went to the Commanders. I gotta say, man, I haven't had a lot of success with Mississippi State guys, when the Dolphins take them. So I don't know how the Commanders are going to do. Of course, you got one for your quarterback, so you probably have a different opinion than I do. But I don't know. I'm going to say bust here. 166 pounds, man. He better absolutely fly and jump.
Yeah, I wasn't in love with the pick when they drafted him. I said, "Wow, I didn't." I thought they should have taken Christian Gonzalez. They didn't, and I'm gonna lean bust. I don't see the hype around him, and we'll see if he proves me wrong. But I'm gonna lean towards bust on Emmanuel Forbes.
So Derrick Henry breaks away on a run, right? You got this guy, 6'1", 166 pounds, trying to bring him down. I don't like the matchup there. You know, I don't like it, man. I don't like it at all. I'll take Tony Pollard running him over. I'll take anyone running him over.
Yeah.
Man, I'll take anybody running him over. I don't see it. We got Will McDonald the fourth, another one of these. Iowa State linebacker, 6'4", 239.
I don't know enough about him to say boom or bust. We'll see, is what I'll say on him. The Jets going linebacker, trying to address some of the defense. I understand it, but we'll see.
I'm going to say bust. Outside of Sauce Gardner and Wilson, the Jets have had probably the worst drafts of the last 40 years of any team combined in the first round. They've had more busts than any team in the first round, and these guys drafted Zach Wilson. In the draft they drafted. They've got a whole list of guys like that. Yep. I do not like the pick there. We've got Broderick Jones out of Georgia, offensive tackle for the Steelers. I gotta say, you can't go wrong with these Georgia players. They came in all number one ranked, coming out of high school, played their way through. They know how to win games. And I got to say that it wasn't like Stetson Bennett was running for his life last year and playing in the SEC,
Yep, I understand it, and I like it for Pittsburgh. You got a young rookie quarterback. The best thing you can do is protect him. And I think Broderick coming out of Georgia is going to do just that. So I'm going to say boom. I think he'll be in Pittsburgh for quite some time.
Yeah, I believe so too, and I believe that he's going to be maybe an unsung guy that maybe even gets mentioned in the Rookie of the Year. I think he's that good. Lucas Van Ness from Iowa went 13th overall to the Packers. I'll tell you, the Packers always head-scratching drafts. Another Iowa player. I like Campbell better than this guy, but a lot of people like this guy.
I'm going to go bust. I think he has the potential to be good, but at the same time, it looks like he's already battled some injury concerns. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm with you. The Packers, they seem to draft a lot of guys at this position, high in the draft, and none of them ever seem to pan out. So I don't see why we would get, we're not going to be right on 100% of these. We're not going to be wrong on 100%, but I think I agree with you here. It's like, here's a guy, who he can definitely rush the passer at the college level. What's he going to do when he doesn't have the help, in the NFL? Because the Packers, he's not going to have any help.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why they get so many injuries. The Lions drafted again, man. They had a great first round. They got Gibbs from Alabama, home run. This is the first draft that I remember two running backs going this high and two that I like this much. I haven't liked probably running backs in the draft this much since Derrick Henry.
Fair. Gibbs, home run. I think he's going to fit in nicely here with the Lions. We already fell in love with their offense last year and what they had going, and now to add another playmaker, especially somebody of his caliber, I think Jared Goff and the crew will fall in love with him.
Yeah, I just can't can't imagine what they're thinking in in the NFC North with this guy coming to town. We got Peter Skoronsky going to the Titans at number 11 out of Northwestern. You got a coach that's an offensive guy like this, or he actually was a linebacker, right? So, but you have, a Big Ten guy, and here's a Big Ten pick, and here's a guy from kind of like the smallest school in the Big Ten going this high. All you can say is that this guy's going to be really, really good. It's like this is like an all-pro type guy, because there's no way you take a guy out of Northwestern at that pick unless he's really good. He might be the highest taken Northwestern player, one of the top 5 of all time. It's gotta be.
Yep, I think he's going to be good. The Titans, that's their type style. A big tackle, maul you, help that run game. And Tannehill needs some more protection, or one of the young guys that they have in there, somebody that's probably going to be there for forever. And, so I can definitely see him. He seems like, when you think of a Tennessee lineman, he's kind of what you think of. So I could definitely see him fitting there.
Well, speaking of Tennessee, Darnell Wright went to the Bears out of Tennessee. He's an offensive tackle. They're projecting him to play on the right side and not on the left side. This guy blocked Will Anderson in the game against Alabama, which projects you. If you are blocking Will Anderson, your team wins the game, you are a first-round draft choice. That's pretty much how it goes. He played in the SEC, played offense tackle in the SEC. He's 333 pounds, 6'5". On the right side, I think he's a little too big for the left side. But I think for the right side, oh man, I think it's such a safe play,
Yep.
Such a safe bet.
Yep, I like what you said, being in the SEC. So he's seen all the dogs come through there, and he's at Tennessee. So it's not like Tennessee is just getting the cream of the crop of other offensive linemen around them. Yeah, they're getting, good guys, but the other SEC teams are probably getting, your topper tier every time. So he probably has some guys around him. So or not as good guys around him. So he was probably the staple of blocking for Hendel Hooker and them, held his own. And he's going to do the same for quite some time for Justin Fields. So I like the pick there for Chicago.
Tennessee threw the ball a lot deep downfield. That takes some time. And that means that he was doing a good job there. Got the Eagles took Jalen Carter out of Georgia. I mean, this is not fair, man.
Not fair, man. I'm nervous for
man.
For both.
It's a automatic, man. I can't even believe that he lasted. I couldn't believe he was on the board. It's like, you're not going to do any better than this. Picking at number 9, you're not going to get a better guy at number 9. This is like when the Cowboys got Emmitt Smith at 22. It's like, you're not Randy Moss, like when he dropped.
When we got Micah, we got Micah, I think, pretty low last, or when we got him.
But like Emmitt Smith and like Randy Moss, these were guys that like they fell out of favor. It's like Emmitt Smith, he's too small. It's like, okay. Adrian Peterson, he wasn't good enough. He dropped to like 20th. It's like, what's the logic here, man? This guy, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Cowboys they got Parsons at 12, and I felt like that was a steal then, and I feel like the Eagles got a steal here at 9.
This is about as good as it gets.
When I said earlier that they're going to be rotating that defensive line because it just seems like they're full of monsters, they are. And I think they're going to control the line of scrimmage again, offensively and defensively this year. So as much as I hate them and hate the Eagles, man, you got to watch out.
This is the guy that you saw like all those Georgia games that was like in the backfield tackling like the first play of the Vandy game, tackling the guy 15 yards into the backfield, forcing the fumble. It's like, this is that guy. Yep. At 8, Bijan Robinson, we talked a little bit about him yesterday for the Falcons. This guy's an instant impact player. I think, you got a guy. He played at Texas. He got the ball a good amount, but he's got fresh legs, man. He's fast. This is it's like to today's NFL where it's a little bit more open. I think he really translates well. You know, it's
Yep.
like
And I've seen clips already of the Falcons saying that's exactly how they're going to use him. I've seen him working with wide receivers and carrying on. He's going to carry the workload for Atlanta this year. And right now, if I had to call it, other than a quarterback, I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
they
Um,
say that this guy, that they're going to use him like running deep patterns out of the backfield.
yep.
It's like, yeah, this is gonna be some. There's gonna be some linebackers looking for some help. You're gonna
Yeah.
start seeing some really fast. That's why like some of these other teams draft like these 5-foot linebackers, man, because it's like you need them to run down with a guy like this. Tyree Wilson, the defensive end out of Texas Tech, went seventh to the Raiders, 6'6", but only 271. Little to the thin side. I don't know. This was in your division, Jay.
He's a monster. He's a monster. Um, and on the opposite side of Max Crosby, I think that's going to be a bright spot for the Raiders, a pass rush. Um, I like him a lot. I did have my eyes on some Texas Tech games, and when you watch their defense, he's one of the only people that stands out. You're like, oh, who's that right there? And I think he's going to be good for the Raiders here. I actually like that pick a lot.
Got they say he's going to do some pass coverage as well. Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. These Ohio State linemen, and they are boom or bust, man. These guys have been historically either, guys that you see around for a very long time or guys that you see move around the league a lot, with teams just looking for an answer. Boy, I think just seems that the Cardinals could have probably done, for me, I think they could have done a little better than this. I'm not. I'm gonna say bust.
He's a lineman. I think he will be okay, but I don't know if sixth overall pick is he worth that? I think they probably could have traded down maybe the 10 or so and probably still got him there.
Or
So
gotten one of these other offensive linemen.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
saying they're projecting that he might even end up as a guard. It's like you're gonna take a guard with 6 overall when you're the worst team in the NFL. It's like, man, that's
Exactly.
It's just disheartening.
Exactly.
All right, we move up to the 5th overall pick. This was Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. I think this was the best player in the entire draft. This is the guy. It's like if I had the pick, this was my guy. Illinois went from an unknown, nothing team that nobody expected anything from, and these guys were really good last year. I think they only lost 2 games in the regular season. This guy was a big part of it, man. This guy is like as good as Sauce Gardner was last year. This guy might be better. He might even be better.
And what's crazy is he's gonna be opposite of the other steal of the draft last year, corner Tyreek Woolen. So I think Seattle, I might be feeling differently about Seattle than I've been leading on here recently. I mean, you kind of deep dive the roster a little bit. And that's why I love doing this, man. That's what we're doing it for,
No,
to
you
kind of
got
get
to.
ready for the season.
Because even if you have to remember that even if some of these teams they have trouble coming together, the chemistry and all that stuff, there's gonna be matchups out there where they're gonna match up really well against certain teams, and it's like we don't need to win, we just need to that we're able to keep it close. That's all we got. If we're getting enough points, we just gotta be in the game. And
And
it's like
I like the cornerback duo now more and more.
but
I
you start
at
to look at
Seattle, I'm liking them.
Clappy. Clappy is one of the greatest evaluators of talent in the history of the game.
And I've heard you say that many a times.
He is. I mean, you can't have he brought a team to back-to-back Super Bowls with more than half the roster undrafted players. I mean, you don't just that's not luck.
Yep.
But at the same time, they have some other issues on the defense, and there's a reason why they need to get all these guys. They've got some problems there, and I don't know. They've got it. They're gonna have a puncher's chance, but I'm looking forward to seeing Witherspoon and this secondary against like the Niners wide receivers. I think that was gonna it's what makes those games great. The games inside the division. It's clear that they figure we got to stop Cooper Kupp. We got to
Yep.
stop these guys. This is how you do it. This is what the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills all did to try and stop Tom Brady. And then Belichick went
Yep.
to the ground game.
Yep.
Anthony Richardson, 4th overall from Florida. I say bust, 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 bust again. This guy throws way too many interceptions for me. It's way too high for a project pick, as far as I'm concerned. I follow Florida. I don't see it. He was a 1-year starter.
Yep. And it wasn't that good. But me,
Wasn't good.
I'm going boom. I think Indianapolis is going to do it right, and that's been my argument this whole time. If you're going to do it right, if you're going to build the offense around him, give him the keys, then yeah, I think he's going to have success. If you try to mold him into what most other NFL quarterbacks are, the typical pocket passer, sit there, he's going to be terrible. It's going to be a bust. So if they play to his strengths, if they, get the ground running, put him in favorable passing options and allow him to grow and learn the NFL, I think he's going to be really good. But if
I
they
don't think he's
don't do
going to
that,
play. I don't think he's going to play.
no, I think he's going to start the first few games, and I think we're going to see if they're going to hit the panic button. That's the main thing about Anthony Richardson. He might struggle early. Will the Colts hit the panic button early, or will they let him go through some growing pains?
There's been some great quarterbacks that have had this skill set and weren't ready, that sat on the sidelines, and like Aaron Rodgers, sat on the sidelines. Steve McNair sat on the sidelines. Most teams, you don't have the luxury with it because of the rookie cap and then the free agency, so they don't have as much time. But I think with a guy like Anthony Richardson, maybe you do. Maybe you do. So it's like, you don't want to throw him out there and have him just get absolutely shellacked, because then you got Christian Ponder.
Like Zach Wilson when his confidence got broke early.
Yeah, Christian Ponder. It's like worst case scenario, man. You got a lot of guys like this, right?
Yep. Fair point.
Man.
We shall see.
Will Anderson, the Texans, D'Amico Ryans has got his guy.
Got his guy.
I thought Will Anderson at times was a little bit overrated last year. But I think at other times, you could see the sideline to sideline speed. You could see the way he can rush the passer. I thought that he got a lot of late hits in last year. I didn't like that, but apparently this guy's a Boy Scout, man. I don't know. I'm going to trust D'Amico Ryans here. I'm going to say that this guy ends up being pretty good.
Yep, I'm going boom as well. They went 2-3 for a reason. The Texans, they wanted those two guys, and I think they got two good ones. So I'm gonna say boom on Will Anderson, and then I'll jump to C.J. Stroud.
Before we go, I just want to say on Will Anderson, okay, cool. Nick Saban did say this is one of the very best players he's ever coached at any level. So he's in the discussion for like the best player he's ever coached. That's about as high as it gets. Anyways, go ahead, Stroud.
Stroud, out of all the quarterbacks, the one I'm most nervous about is Stroud, and it's your argument. He will never have the weapons that he had at Ohio State, and be playing down to competition in the way he was at Ohio State. The corners he were facing on a week-to-week basis, they couldn't guard those wide receivers. It's called a spade. They couldn't. And especially not in open space. Now, when you have all those guys, it just wasn't going to happen. Now in the NFL and down there in Houston, that's not gonna be the case. Your third guy, he's probably gonna be boxed up, so same as your second guy, and your first guy might have this much room. Will CJ be able to fit it in there? That's yet to be seen. I'm gonna lean. I think he's gonna be the one that's probably a bust more so than Anthony Richardson. So, I think Stroud's on bust alert.
All right, I'm on the bus for Stroud as well. I just don't think he's going to get as good a players as he had at Ohio State, and I don't think he was that great. I really don't. I wasn't overly impressed. I was definitely more impressed with Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young, he had an interesting situation as an Alabama QB because the emergence of Georgia and that Georgia defense, man, it's just ridiculous. But in hindsight, he beat them. He beat them. That last year's game, or was it 2 years ago? It was a rematch, right? The championship. was a rematch of the earlier game, Alabama-Georgia. Georgia won the national championship, beating Alabama, but those teams had played during the regular season, and Alabama beat them. This year, Bryce Young did not beat Georgia. No chance. But I don't know. I think Bryce Young. I think you have to let him run. I think if it's there. I think at Alabama they tried to make him not run, and I think that's when they got in trouble. You got to let him play, and it's kind of like with Justin Fields. You don't want him to run, but you got to let him run, and it's like that's what'll make him more effective. Teams will have to watch out for the run, like with Lamar. And, if you don't watch out for the run, he's going to run right past you. If you do watch out for the run, he's going to throw it right past you. I think he has a good chance, and I think he might be in the right situation in Carolina. I'm going to go that he's going to be okay.
I'm going boom. I like me some Bryce Young. I do. I think he's going to be good for Carolina. Y'all heard me say on yesterday's show, I think Carolina wins their division this year, and I think it's going to be behind solid play defensively for Carolina, and I think Bryce Young is going to do enough offensively to keep them in just about every game. I think he's going to keep his turnovers quite low, and I think they're just going to play that typical beat you up, off the radar style Carolina football. I know Mitch's small market team is Tennessee. I think mine is Carolina.
I think it's going to be interesting to see, these growing process teams, there's going to be some ugly games, and those might create some value for us in other spots. Jay, any pick on the rookie of the year here, offensive and defensive?
Bijan Robinson, Atlanta. And defense, I'm going to go with I forgot where he went. The linebacker from Iowa. Where did he fall? He went to Lions. Yep, I'm go with him. I think he's just going to be on tackling machine for them.
I like those picks, but I think that for the defensive rookie of the year, I like Witherspoon, and I also like Carter. I think those guys are just ridiculous, Yep. I think those are elite talents. And then I think offensively, I'm with you. I think Bijan Robinson is probably the guy. And I think the outside guy is our guy that went to the Chargers.
Johnson. Yep.
Yeah,
I like
he's my wild card for the
Fair enough.
offensive. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow morning, and of course tomorrow for the NFL show. I don't know if Jay's going to be here, or if we'll do a tape, or if I'll just go live or whatever. We'll figure it out. We always do. Thanks everyone. Just like everybody else, we're not even in preseason. It's preseason for all of us. So we're just kind of doing our homework live in front of you guys. So enjoy it.